Hey, hey, it's your girl, Dr. Brandye, and hey, it's Wednesday. It is Wednesday. It's our regular day for meeting. I feel like I have not been hanging out with you guys in a long time. So here I am. It's Friday. Ooh, Lord. I am trying to get through this week, apparently. It is Wednesday. Happy hump day. And I hope that you are having a wonderful week so far. Once you come in, please say hello. Definitely say hello, because I want to say hi back and acknowledge that you're here, because we haven't been together since last week. It's been a whole week since we've been hanging out. So I'm back, you're back. Say hi so we can really connect and get with, some of that good vibe, some of that good energy, because we have made it to the middle of the week. Today I was actually at work, and so I am happy that I am here and fairly on time. I was a couple minutes late because I was trying to type in some stuff, but here I am. I'm here. So I am so glad to be with you all. Again, say hi. Let me know that you're here. And you know what? We're gonna talk about some things. Like the title says for tonight's live, we are gonna talk about our declaration on sexual pleasure. So, definitely invite a friend, tag a friend, because sharing is caring, and we always want to make sure that our girlfriends are in on this conversation, because it's so very important that we talk about sex and pleasure. And so, tag some people, tell them to come on in and let's hang out. Hey, Dr. Ferlandi, how you doing? So glad you are here. Oh, I got your card. Thank you so much. At first, I forgot what it was about, and then I was like, oh, yeah. So I got your card. Thank you. So sweet. But yeah, so we are going to talk about this idea of a declaration on sexual pleasure. So, I think it's an important conversation that we need to have. And I think that it's a conversation, I know that it's a conversation that is being furthered by some other organizations and other people in, the space of sexual awareness and sexual education and things like that. And so that's why we're going to talk about it. So we're going to jump in, because even though I was at work and I got home and I got here on time, I'm a little hungry. So we're gonna talk about some things, and I'm gonna go have some dinner. So let's get into it. Let's start. So you know who I am. I'm Dr. Brandye, board certified OBGYN, Amazon #1 best-selling author of my book. Here, I gotta pull it out. My Oh My, A Committed Woman's Guide to Getting the Great Sex She Deserves. And I am your sex and pleasure coach. And I teach women how to feel good in and out of the bedroom and how to get their sexy back. And tonight we are going to talk about something that I think is important in women getting their sexy back. And, part of that is just having an awareness that your sexy has gone away. Because a lot of times we don't even realize that our sexy has gone away. We're just kind of going through the motions of the day, keeping the balls in the air, the plates in the air, I should say it that way, keeping the plates in the air so that they're not falling and breaking, and stuff is falling apart. So a lot of times we don't even realize that our sexy has gone away. Hey, Kiana, good to see you. Welcome back. And so the first thing that we have to be aware of when we are saying we're going to get our sexy back is that we have to know that our sexy has gone away. And how can you know that? Well, it shows up in certain ways. Sometimes it just shows up as, I don't really want to do the things that I used to do. But sometimes it actually will show up as, a sexual thing. Sometimes it's not even a sexual thing that it shows up. Sometimes it is. So sometimes it's not even a sexual thing. It's just like, I don't want to go do this. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to go do the other. Sometimes though, when it shows up around like the bedroom space, it's, I don't want to be sexual, or I don't want to think about sex, or I don't want to engage in this particular activity, or, none of that stuff. Or vice versa, or the flip side of that is, okay, I'm willing to do this thing, and this is the only thing that I'm willing to do. And it's just like, okay, it can be a sign that things are not as good as they could be, and that your sexy is not where it needs to be. Now, a lot of times I have patients and clients who come in and talk to me, and they think that they might be in menopause because they don't want to have sex. And I'm talking like ladies in their 20s and 30s who are coming in and they're like, you know what, doc, I need you to check my hormones. I think I'm in menopause because I don't want to have sex. And it's like, well, let's talk. Let's figure out what's going on, because you're a little young. Not that you can't have early, or what we call premature menopause. That is a thing. But the majority of the time, it's not menopause at all. And just so we're clear, menopause in and of itself does not cause a decline in sex drive. It does not. Now, you may have less energy to be able to have sex. You may feel a little more discomfort because of the vaginal dryness, but menopause does not equal an automatic drop in your sex drive. So if you are thinking that is not correct. So just know, menopause is not that time. And sex drive can go up, down, up, down, up, down throughout your life, depending on what's going on. You had a baby, you are going through the perimenopausal transition, and you got bleeding happening that's weird, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. You're stressed at work, your relationship is stressed, your kids are bothering you. You know what? It could even be, it's a full moon, and you're just like, you know what? I don't even feel it today. I just don't feel it. So there's so many different things that can influence your desire for sex. But menopause, not so much, unless it's about, kind of discomfort or kind of this lack of energy. So that's the first thing, just being aware. Is your sexy gone? Is it decreased? Or is it, is it on and popping? Is it like, yeah, let's party, I'm ready. So just knowing where you are on the spectrum is first. So then after you know where you are, you can make a decision. And really, it is a decision. Now, once you make the decision, then you have to start taking steps to enact what it is that the decision is that you made, that you want to bring to fruition. So first is awareness, then you got to start taking those steps and doing that stuff, making a decision, and then start taking the steps. Hey, Tamika. So glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. So we're talking about a declaration on sexual pleasure. And we're just talking about, what I do and how I help clients. And we're talking about how a lot of times my clients will come in and say, hey, I think I'm in menopause. My patients will say that too. I think I'm in menopause. Can you check my hormones? Because I don't want to have sex anymore. And, we go through our discussion and we kind of tease out what's happening, and it comes to find out that it's not menopause at all. They're not having hot flashes or vaginal dryness per se. They are, bored, or they are just tired or overwhelmed with everything that they have to do, because we try to be superwoman. we try to be superwoman, and I'm talking to myself too. We try to be superwoman and do everything, and we're like, we got to be that one. We got to be that woman where we're doing everything. That we are a woman in the streets and a freak in the sheets, and we have all these expectations for what we should and shouldn't be doing, and all this other stuff. And sometimes it can be dangerous in terms of how you are putting pressure on yourself to perform. So that is where we are with our conversation. And we were talking about first being aware of where you are with your sexy. Is it absolutely gone, like no sexy, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being absolutely no sexy and 10 being I am Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion with the WAP? Where are you in your sexiness? Where's your sexy? And secondly, once you know where you are, if it's not where you want it to be, making a decision to get it where you want it to be. And then finally, just taking the steps to do what you need to do so that you can get to where you want to be. And so this idea of a declaration on sexual pleasure is not something that I came up with, although I am a fan of it. But apparently last week, down in Mexico City, there is an organization called, let's see, what's it called? The World Association for Sexual Health. And they had a congress, a whole world congress that met down in Mexico City last week. And they actually came up with a declaration on sexual pleasure. And it's 2 pages long. So I was like, oh yes, I'm excited to see this. But essentially what they said and what they wanted the world to know is that sexual pleasure, they first want to define sexual pleasure. So they say sexual pleasure is the physical and or psychological satisfaction and enjoyment derived from shared or solitary erotic experiences, including thoughts, fantasies, dreams, emotions, and feelings. So that's what sexual pleasure is, and they wanted us to recognize that that's what sexual pleasure is. Right, Dr. Ferlandi? Wow, exactly. Thanks, Tamika, for inviting some folks to come on, some sisters to come on and hear what we're talking about. So they said that self-determination, consent, safety, privacy, confidence, and the ability to communicate and negotiate sexual relations are key enabling factors for pleasure to contribute to the sexual health and well-being. Sexual pleasure should be exercised within the context of sexual rights, particularly the rights to equality and non-discrimination, autonomy, and bodily integrity, the right to the highest attainable standard of health and freedom of expression that is possible. And they said that the experiences of human sexual pleasure are diverse, and sexual rights ensure that pleasure is a positive experience for all concerned and not obtained by violating other people's human rights and well-being. So that's kind of a big definition. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. But the first thing is that they were talking about it. They actually had a whole conference on it. So I was just like, yeah, how come I didn't get down to Mexico City? I was working, that's why I didn't get down there, but that's a whole other conversation. But they wanted to make sure that sexual pleasure was something that was defined and something that they were making sure that people understood was important. Hey Jennifer, so glad you are here with us tonight. Thank you for joining. We are talking about our declaration on sexual pleasure. And so, in that scheme of things, like I said, it's a two-page thing that they had for us. they had some specific declarations that they wanted to make. And so they wanted to declare that, number one, that the possibility of having pleasurable and safe sexual experiences free of discrimination, coercion, and violence is a fundamental part of sexual health and well-being for all. Now, it seems that, it would seem that that is a no-brainer, right? But the reality for a lot of women is that sex is not something that is safe, or they feel that it's safe for them. It's not something that they feel is free of coercion or violence. And so they needed to declare that, because that's not the reality that we see. And even as a gynecologist, that's not the reality that I see. I've encountered women who have been, assaulted, inappropriately touched, just the whole gamut of things. And so, it's not always safe out there. It's not always what you would think should be there. So it's important that they declare that. Hey, Connie, so glad you are here. It's been a long time no see. I hope you're doing well. So the second thing that they declared was that access to sources of sexual pleasure is part of human experience and subjective well-being. Now, this one is important and something that I talk about a lot, because I know that if you are experiencing good sex and having good orgasms, that actually contributes to your overall sense of well-being and is part of your subjective well-being. So if you're having great sex, if you're having orgasms, that is important for your overall just sense of self and feeling good. It also though can contribute to some other things. So we've talked in the past about how women who are having great sex, there was an article that had come out maybe 3 months ago or so, and they were talking about how women who are having good sex and orgasms actually did better in terms of problem solving and being creative, and that translated into better leadership skills as observed by other people. And because of those better leadership skills, they were actually able to be promoted and get, higher pay. So it's not just, having good sex to have good sex. It actually can translate into some more money in your pocketbook. So good sex is important. Good sex matters. Hashtag good sex matters. And not just for your pleasure. Although that, even if it were just that, that's important. Because you are worthy of pleasure. You are deserving of pleasure. If nobody has told you that, I'm here to tell you that. You are worthy of pleasure. You are deserving of pleasure. So that part about having access to sources of sexual pleasure, and that being a fundamental part of your well-being, is super important. They also wanted to declare that sexual pleasure is a fundamental part of sexual rights as a matter of human rights. And I think that plays into the discussion about sex being the purview, sexual pleasure being the purview of the male partner when you are in a heterosexual relationship. And I hear that a lot too with patients and clients alike, and they're just like, whatever, I'm just trying to do it and get it over with. I know that I have to do it because I don't want my partner to go out and cheat on me or do these other things, but I'm just doing it for them. I don't get any enjoyment out of it. I don't want to do it. And it's like, wait a minute, you were created to enjoy sex too. You have your own set of parts of your body and in your brain that are specifically wired so that you can enjoy sex and get pleasure from sex. So it's important for us women specifically to understand that sex is not just for the man, it is for us as well. And we are created and made to enjoy sex and get pleasure from it and have orgasms. And so you need to know that. So I'm so glad they're declaring that in here, right, with this document, because it is important. Dr. Verlandy said, should sex be reserved to married couples only? What are your thoughts on that? Well, my friend, that is a very touchy, that is a very touchy subject. I think knowing what I know now about sex, I think that it is best reserved for married couples. Do I think that you can have some very exciting and pleasurable sex if you're not married? Yes. But I think for how I think about sex and how I view sex, and it being not only just a physical connection, but a mental, emotional, and a spiritual connection, I think that it should be within the context of, at the very least, a committed relationship, committed monogamous relationship, but ideally in the context of marriage, because that is how it can operate at its best. But even with it being in the confines of marriage, I find that married people often have the most trouble with being able to have good sex. And so it's kind of this paradox. It's like sex is supposed to be, confined to marriage. It's supposed to be reserved for marriage. And then once you get married, you're like, what is this? We had better sex when we weren't married. So it's that paradox. But there are some things that go into that conversation too, just about expectations, because a lot of times the dynamic that happens, the dynamic that shows up is the woman has been told all her life, sex is bad, don't have sex, keep your legs closed, keep your dress down, your panties up, keep, if you can hold this penny between your knees, that's what you need to do for, to make sure that you stay pure before you get married. And then once you get married, nobody teaches you how to change your mindset. So you're still thinking, you know what, this is bad, this is wrong, this is dirty, I shouldn't be doing it, and certain things you shouldn't do, and you're hung up on, all these years I've been told sex is bad and I shouldn't do it, and now I'm married and I'm supposed to be, hanging from the chandeliers and doing everything under the sun because the marriage bed is not defiled, right? So I think that's where some of the tension comes in, and that paradox of, oh, you're married and you're supposed to be able to enjoy sex and enjoy a lot of it, and then you get married and it's just like, no, we're not having a good time, I don't understand this, I'm not enjoying it at all. So that's actually one of the things that I work with clients who are married or in long-term relationships. We work on stuff like that, like recalibrating what it is that is allowed, what's normal, what you feel comfortable with. Because that's the other thing too. Because we've been told, no, 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 we don't even know half the stuff that's out there that we could do, that's pleasurable, that is good, and we just don't even know about it. So that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents on it, Dr. Verlandy. She said, that's true, married couples tend to have the hardest time with sexual pleasures. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So yeah, that's my take on it. Hope that answered your question. All right, so back to the declarations, because they're not finished. Like I said, we got 2 pages. We're not going to read through the whole 2 pages because I told you I'm hungry. I got to go have some dinner. But these specific declarations I wanted to go through because they are super, super, super important. Dr. Verlandy said, I think for a lot of women, it becomes an obligation. It's just another thing to check off the to-do list. It's like, okay, we haven't done it in a while, so I guess I should give you some. But it's not meant to be that way. It's not meant to be that that have that energy behind it. It's meant to be a time of connection. It's meant to be a time of pleasure for the both of you. It's meant to be a time where not only are you giving of pleasure, but you are also receiving of pleasure. And that's actually part of our feminine essence. Like a lot of times I think we are, and I am 100% guilty of this, but a lot of times we are in our masculine energy. And when we're in our masculine energy, that's kind of a go, do, be, da 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 da, right? But when you are in your feminine essence, when you tap into that part of you, and we have both, we have masculine and feminine energy. Both men and women have masculine and feminine energy. When we tap into that feminine energy, that is more of a receptive energy. And when you are in that space, you are more likely to enjoy a sexual encounter, because it's not just, okay, I gotta do, I gotta be, I gotta da 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 da. It's okay, I'm also, going to just receive this pleasure. And it's okay. It's okay. You can receive pleasure in it. It's not a problem at all. Hey, T. Welcome to the party. So glad to see you. So glad you are here. We are talking about our declaration on sexual pleasure, sir. So I'm so glad that you're here. And we're on declaration number 4. So that says they declare that sexual pleasure includes the possibility of diverse sexual experiences. Yes, it does. There are so many times when people get bored because we do things, we have a routine for how we go about our day and get things done and make sure all the stuff is tucked in nice and neat. And we have a routine, and we keep having that routine, even in the bedroom. So we have sex the same way all the time. We start off the same way. We get to the bedroom the same way. We get to bed, we do the same stuff the same way. And afterwards, we do the same thing. And that's boring. That gets boring. You got to switch it up. Now, one of the things that contributes to better sex drive and more sexual desire is novelty. So new things that actually helps to reset the balance in your brain from this inhibitory, I don't want to do it, why am I doing it, yada yada yada, to yeah, let's do it, let's have fun. And you got to do some new things so that you are stimulating. There's some hormones that are important. One of them is dopamine. Dopamine is a hormone in the brain that has to do with novelty and pleasure and activating your pleasure centers. So anything that's new is a good thing. If you go out to a new restaurant, that's good. If you do something different on a date, that's good. If you try a different sex position, that's good. You bring a toy into the bedroom, that's good. That novelty is important. So they are saying that sexual pleasure should include the possibility of diverse sexual experiences. Now, they may be, talking about it even past what I'm saying, but my interpretation of that is you need to have some new experiences with your partner. You can also have experiences by yourself with solo sex, because that is possibility. It's a possibility with masturbation. Okay? So then number 5, they said sexual pleasure shall be integrated into education, health promotion, and service delivery, research, and advocacy in all parts of the world. Now this one is what really got me excited, because our sexual education right now, if we have any, it solely focuses on don't get pregnant if you're not wanting to and ready to, and don't get any sexually transmitted infections. There's nothing in there that talks about sex for pleasure. There's nothing in there that talks about how relationships dynamics are and what's important, what you should look for, what you should be on the lookout for. None of that gets discussed. There's nothing talking about how there is more than just the physical connection of inserting tab A into slot B for heterosexual sex. There's just not those conversations. So that part, number 5, was super important for me to see, because it's part of my mission, part of my values, part of my passion for why I do what I do. And then finally, their 6th declaration was that they wanted to make sure that there was the programmatic inclusion of sexual pleasure to meet individuals' needs, aspirations, and realities, and how that ultimately contributes to the global health and sustainable development. And it should require some comprehensive, immediate, and sustainable action. Now, that's a lot of words. It's a lot of words to say that whatever programming that's out there needs to assess and to address the individual needs and aspirations and realities that are happening in people's lives, and make sure that whatever is put together is sustainable and that it is comprehensive. So, it can't just be about don't get pregnant and don't get an STD. Or an STI, sorry, it's sexually transmitted infections. It can't be that. It's got to be, more. There's got to be more. And so I'm super excited and super proud that they have this declaration on sexual pleasure that they put out so that we can, one, have this discussion, because, I like having discussions about sex. That's just it's my jam. It's my jam. So that's what we do here on this station, on this channel. But I'm glad that it is not confined to what I do and some of the other sexual educators that I know in my space who are talking about sex. So that is what I wanted to talk with you about tonight. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that was informative for you. And I do want to invite you that if you want to figure out, one, if you are having, some issues with your sexy is over here at 0 and not at WAP, I need you to jump on my schedule at Dr. Brandye, OBGYN.com, and let's talk. Okay? I also want to invite you, if you are in a long-term relationship or married and you are having that paradoxical, okay, we had great sex before we got into this marriage or into this long-term relationship, but now this sex thing, I don't even understand, but it's not working. If that's you, I want you to jump on my schedule, Dr. Brandye, OBGYN.com, and let's talk, because there's stuff that you can do about it. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I know a few things. I have a few things in my back pocket that I can pull out and teach you. So if that's you, jump on my schedule, Dr. Brandye, OBGYN.com. If you want to talk more about this declaration on sexual pleasure and what that could mean for you, jump on my schedule, Dr. Brandye, OBGYN.com, and let's talk. I got some free time. A little bit. I got a little bit of free time. So jump on my schedule and let's talk. All right? Well, thank you all for showing up and hanging out with me on this Wednesday night. I'm so excited. It's the night before. It's my birthday eve. So I'm very, very excited that I had all you guys here tonight. Thank you, T, for coming on. So good to see you. It's been a minute. Dr. Ferlandy, thank you. And thank you for your questions. Connie, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for coming on. And Jennifer, thank you for being here too. And Tamika, girl, we are tight. I'm so glad you were here too. And so glad that you were here, Kiana. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of here and go have some dinner because I'm hungry. It's time to eat. So I'm going to go have some good food, but you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday and make it a good hump day. And you know who I am. I'm Dr. Brandye, board certified OBGYN Amazon #1 best-selling author and your sex and pleasure coach. And I teach women how to feel good in and out of the bedroom, how to get their sexy back, and how to declare that they want their sexual pleasure. So I will see you guys on Friday night for Dr. Brandye After Dark, 8:30, right here. All right, see you soon. Bye.